What the hell? What the hell, Big Rube, is going on in Chicago? Okay? You got Chicago teachers and administrators who are talking again now, hours after going on strike because the educators union struck and they decided that the kids were just going to sit home and chill with their parents today. Basically, they walked out. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they don't want to have themselves rated. Or they didn't like the benefits that they would get. Now,
right.
Chicago, third largest metropolitan area in the country. Teachers there make on average $71,000
really?
a year. $71,000 a year on average.
April P, you hear that?
It's $71,000, on average.
But the cost of living is crazy.
Well, yeah, it is, but it's still a lot of money. Now, the strike left about 350,000 students with an unscheduled day off, and some parents trying to find alternatives. Now, you had the kids that were in the charter schools were unaffected. Now, charter schools, basically, you've got teachers who were there because they wanted to be in those schools, right? So you got the teachers that want to be in the schools who are unaffected. They were there. The charter schools went to school. But the teachers whose occupation instead of vocation is to teach, they're the ones that walked out. Carlton Banks, what's your thoughts?
My thing is, you got a contract, you need to honor it. There's a certain way of going about getting your needs heard and met and all that kind of thing. And I have to admit, I've worked in a union environment before, and unfortunately, the teachers did the right thing. I can't say it any other way. Yes, the kids are going to suffer, but that's what happens when you have a union or a contract worker. They get a way of saying no to you, and in so many words, you almost have to bite your tongue or find somebody else, a.k.a. a scab, to do the teaching for them. Now, yeah, you got so many substitutes, but that substitute is how many people versus how many students versus how many teachers have walked out the door.
Right.
You know, you got money issues. You got an economy that's trying to rebound. You know, you got a big election that's coming up. Normally, certain prices drop during those during election runs. We haven't seen that yet, so maybe that's playing a factor in how these teachers are saying no to driving to school because you got to put the gas. Basically, I'm getting at the price of gas is still high, given the election situation.
I got a lot of mixed feelings on it. I really do, because while I understand you got to fight for yourself as an individual, and I'm speaking in the teacher standpoint, you know, you got classes with 30 and 40 kids in them. You're not getting the kind of benefits that you feel that you deserve, things of that sort. Some of the conditions may or may not be good. Now, I'll be honest with you. I didn't go and study the Chicago school system, so I can't speak from a person that's intimately in the know. I'm speaking from someone who just saw the story. That's basically the essence of what the hell is. We see the story, we just kind of rap about it. You know, my thought is, could we find some other kind of way to make this point, Big Rube? I mean, you got all these kids that's home chilling right now. And then when you add to the fact that the murder rate in Chicago is obnoxious. And now you just put 350,000 kids on the street indefinitely, because who knows how long this is going to last. Well, you know what we need to do? We need to get somebody from Chicago on Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. That's something that I'm going to work on for a future show. We need to get somebody that's actually there, because this is the second thing that came up, Big Rube, with Chicago, with the murder rate I talked about. You know, Carlton and I had a heated debate about that. And now this is coming up. I mean, get in on this one, bro.
This is the dumbest ish that I've ever heard. Are you telling me that you couldn't have worked out your differences in the summer? So you're going to sit here and say, you know what? I don't feel like teaching anybody today. What kind of BS is that? And I'm sorry, if you're a teacher and you agree with this, I'm appalled, because I think that these people are selfish. You're making $71,000. Yes, the cost of living there is a little bit higher than it is here. But if you don't like your job, go somewhere else. There are teachers that can be used anywhere and everywhere. So for them to sit here and be like, well, we're more important than the school. We're more important than 350,000 kids. And you know what? They ain't my kids. if you're gonna do that, maybe you shouldn't be a teacher. There's
But I
a
don't
purpose.
think they're saying they don't like their job. They don't like
the conditions.
Conditions.
You know, a lot
There's
of
a
it.
difference.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that they don't like how they're being, like performance evaluations and things like that. So, and my response to that is, if Marcus J on his full time gig ain't doing what he's supposed to do, guess what? His ass
You
is
go,
out.
yeah. And but what I'm saying is, you had 3 months
Yeah.
to take care of this.
Yeah.
You don't like your performance evaluation. They're not changing it. Go to a new school district.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else.
The only thing that I'll say to that, though, is we've seen just from being sports fans that negotiations always go to the end, and the fact that you may end up striking is something that, as sports fans, we have to live with. I mean, just in the last 3-4 years, let's say 5 years, we've had Major League Baseball is the only one that didn't have an issue. Hockey lost a season. Basketball nearly lost a season. Football, we just went through. They didn't lose any time, but they almost did.
Yeah.
So it's something that I would think logically what you're saying would be accurate, and I agree with you. You had all summer to work this mess out. You take it up to the wire. I don't know when they started school. I know that we started school here a week ago. For argument's sake, let's say that they're in their second week. So you basically had the kids in school for a week, and now you're going to strike and have them be out indefinitely.
Well, that's again going back to the administration and the people that govern the whole school body. They let this happen. They knew it was coming. They didn't believe that the teachers would go out on strike, but hey, guess what? They did.
But the thing about it is, as the teachers, you knew what you signed up for. If you ain't like what you signed up for, roll out. Go find somewhere else. Go to a charter school. I mean, to me, it's just an excuse. And to be perfectly honest with you, having been in a union, there are sometimes stupid decisions made by unions because of a few people, and they affect a whole bunch of other people. And I don't agree with this. I think this is dumb. I think this is ignorant. And I think that, as teachers, you should be appalled that you are doing this. Cross the picket line. Go teach something.
Go teach something.
You know what, Ruben? I don't think you've ever really been in a union to understand that. You say you have. Hey, if you have, you have. But I've been in a union. I've picketed. I've struck. I've worked for harder benefits. I work for my salary.
Okay.
It's not a matter of just picking up your job and leaving something you leave. They didn't do that.
But
they want better conditions.
But I'm saying, when you signed up for these conditions,
but
number
there's
one,
a contract. There's a time frame. There's a tenure. The contract ends. I can strike for various reasons, but when the contract ends, and I don't know all the details, I don't know if their contract is up, but if there's no renegotiation, it is very hard to work without a contract.
Correct. That's what you had all summer to take care of.
Okay, but that's between your union head and the school board.
If it was something else, if it was a private business, I completely would agree with you.
It is a business. School system is a business.
Okay, if this was a private business, I would completely agree with you. But this is not a private business. This is a public business. And then it's not about the 300 teachers. How about the other 350,000 kids? I understand your conditions are bad. I get it. But if your conditions are that bad where you can't go to work the next day, you go somewhere else. This thing about fighting for some things, I get it. I understand your benefits are bad. Your pay is bad. Whatever. I get it. Once again, you signed that contract. If your contract runs out and you don't want to be there no more, go somewhere else. It's that simple.
It's not,
especially
simple,
as a
Ruben.
teacher. As a teacher, it is that simple.
You're forgetting the whole reason why they walked out. They didn't walk out because they didn't like the job. That's not why they walked out. They walked out because of the conditions. They walked out because they want something else to help them. What? It's not being selfish. Is it being selfish? No. When you are in a union, you go on strike. I can't speak without saying the company that I work for, that I went on strike with, the people that suffered were the public. If I wasn't there to do my job, the public.
That's who always suffers.
Okay. Somebody's got to suffer.
Yeah, and so the leverage that you put on someone suffering is
my way of getting what I want.
I got a hit on the Facebook page, fan of the show, Hakeem, who listens
Hakeem, just call in.
Hakeem always listens to us, and he has called in. He doesn't like the teacher striking, but if people know the extremely violent labor history that took place in the United States and the appalling working conditions that people were first to walk under before unions, I think we'd appreciate them more. Some unions are too powerful, though, especially teachers' unions. That's Hakeem's position. So I want to go ahead and leave it there because we can talk about this forever. And as I mentioned, I want to devote a whole segment to what's going on in Chicago. So we're going to try to get somebody from Chicago to talk to us specifically about the strike. And hopefully by the time we get them on the line, the strike is over. If it's not, then we'll be talking about the strike as it's going on. But we certainly can get into what's going on with the murder rate and the corruption at City Hall and all that kind of stuff because, because it's Chicago, it's mainstream, but this kind of stuff goes on all over the United States. So let's go ahead and leave it there. The next story that I want to get into real quick on what the hell is going on with this Navy SEAL writing this book, Big Rube. Really? You going to go ahead and write a book titled No Easy Day, the first-hand account of the mission that killed Osama bin Laden. The guy's been hitting the interview circuit, a Navy SEAL calling back, someone who, I ain't no SEAL, I ain't no military person, but I got to figure that he signed some sort of confidentiality agreement that states that you should probably keep your mouth shut when you are part of these kinds of sensitive these types of sensitive teams going in and doing what they did. So I'm gonna start with you, Big Rube. Whether you agree, disagree, I want to know what your thoughts are on this dude writing the book.
Congratulations. Just put a target on your back. I mean, that's probably another stupid thing that has happened. Really? You want to say, hey, this is how we killed Osama bin Laden. Wait a minute. They got my name, my picture. So let's see. If they really want to get back at me, they have my name. They can get in touch with my family. They could kill my family. Yeah, smart move, Navy SEAL.
Well, what the one thing that I will say in dispute of that, he did write the name under a pseudonym. Right, excuse me. He did write the book under a pseudonym. And every interview that I saw him in, not only was his voice distorted, but the physical appearance that you saw of him, they said it was a disguise. So the old school way, they might have kind of blurred the face, or they might have had him in a spot shadow and had the gravelly voice. He had on the kind of makeup, kind of like Hollywood makeup. So his physical appearance apparently was different, and the name he used apparently was a pseudonym. But I did hear today that his actual name did get out. So I guess as I'm thinking through what I'm saying, I'm coming back to what your point was. Now I started off disagreeing with you. Now I'm actually agreeing with you. It's crazy. Colin Banks, what's your thoughts on it?
The whole reason that they said they want to keep everybody anonymous was to prevent any type of, retaliation. You just made your whole family a target. Dude, are you serious?
Yeah.
Plus me personally, I never trust those things of going inside and you disguise my name, my voice, and all. I don't trust that. Hey, somebody saw you walk in the building.
What about that movie? Was it Police Academy where they were doing that and somebody walked in and flipped the switch and the light came on and and then that person was identified? So that's a trip. Ain't no half stepping, Marcus J. You want to get down with us? Hit us up 804-447-0601 804-447-0601.
I mean NCIS, dog. Don't you watch TV? Haven't you seen the movie Taken?
Yeah.
I think they could find out who you are, and they could find out who your family is, you jerk.
Yeah. Definitely. Next story. I got two more before we take our final break of the show for the rants and their closes. This one is definitely from the What the Hell files, Big Bro. Not only is this story from News1.com, one of my favorite websites. They ain't paying us, but I do think people should check them out. They're African American. Some people like that term. I prefer black. It's a website that kind of caters to black news and things like that. And they do have a kind of like a funny, not funny, but like, weird type of news or crazy crooks and that kind of thing, that kind of segment. So that's where I found this. What the hell? Mother arrested for putting hit on school bus bully. And it says what the hell. I didn't write that. It says what the hell. Now, this woman's name, and I'll call her out, Tamika McClure, who is pictured here. And
black
is a sister.
Oh.
And ain't nothing nice to look at. No disrespect to her. But, maybe it's her mugshot or maybe that's just how she looked. But
hard and rough.
Tamika McClure was arrested and faces 7 charges, including second-degree battery, after she reportedly boarded a school bus and ordered 2 of her older children to beat up a boy who had allegedly stabbed her 5-year-old daughter with a pencil. 26-year-old Conway, Arkansas mother with two of the older children, 7-year-old and 12-year-old, reportedly waited for the school bus that carried the school bully. And she told those kids, handle it. Quote, handle that stuff, but not stuff.
Ish.
Ish. Yes. Right. When the bus arrived, the angry mom boarded it with the children, confronted the 9-year-old boy in question. And like I said, she told her two kids, handle that ish. So Big Rube, I'm going to start with you now. I have a child. And and so does Carlton Banks. So he and I will share our opinions on this one last. But, you know, as Uncle Big Rube, I'd like to know what your thoughts are.
I'm just shocked she actually went on a bus and told her kids to handle it. I mean, because usually if stuff is being dealt with, is being dealt with, yet it's not being dealt with in public. Somehow, you know, hey, look, you two, I need y'all to handle that ish. But you say that at home, and when the dude get off the bus, that's when you handle it. When the bus drives away, the kids walk down the street. I'm a bully.
It sounds like you're endorsing a silent hit on a 9-year-old.
Yeah,
Ruben.
first of all, it's not a hit because she didn't pay him. Let's just be real about that. Second of all, if you don't think this happens at all, you're fooling yourself. The only reason she even got arrested and got charged is because she went on the bus and told, hey, you two, that's him, handle this ish. Really? You just go out there and, hey, I'm going to go rob this bank right now, cops. I'll be back in a second. Oh, yeah, videotape. Make sure you get me so you can rob it. So you can get me after I rob this bank. I mean, had she not gone on the bus and said, handle this,
right?
Because there are cameras on the bus.
Right. Well,
the kid would have just been dealt with, and he just went home crying.
The rest of the story says that the school bus driver, a gentleman by the name of Carl Renfro, is repeatedly seen pleading with her to leave the bus, but she ignored his cries, and so he called for assistance. During the fight, she remained a spectator while she watched her children pummel the boy, and is overheard making statements like, quote, you don't put your hands on a 5-year-old, while her 7 and 12-year-old beat up the 9-year-old. You know what?
First of all, that 9-year-old went out like a punk. Because I would have took out the 7-year-old first. And then me and the 10-year-old, 11-year-old would have got down.
All right, look, here's the thing.
No, I don't condone that. It is what it is, but I don't condone it.
No, I can't condone it, man. You know, I have a child. My child's a 9-year-old, and so I can understand the mindset of the kids. I mean, it kind of reminds me, we did What the Hell a couple of weeks ago when you had the people in the daycare that was setting up, you know, Fight Club for the toddlers. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is wrong with people? For real. Like, you understand that the 9-year-old jabbing the 5-year-old with the pencil is the wrong thing to do. Right. Obviously, we know that. And we also know that most of us was raised with he hit you, hit him back. Because that's how I was raised. He hit you, hit him back. I understand that. But I was also raised with show a little bit of tact. And if there's someone around in authority, you try to go that route first. Okay? This is what you teach the children. Now, when they get older and they can make decisions for themselves, then it's kind of out of your hands. But I don't know that it's the right example to set for your 5, 7, and 12-year-old child to send in the two older kids to jump on another child.
Where was this located?
This was in Arkansas.
Let me tell you like this. It was two of me at all times. So if you got one, the other one was definitely going to get you.
Well,
right?
You had a twin, so it's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different there. However, I look at it like this. Two girls on my bus, on my son's school bus. One is currently in third. The other one is in second. At the time, they were in second and first. They were getting bullied by another first grade. Me and the parents were like, look, I ain't telling you to hit her. I'm just telling you to defend yourself at all costs. All right? Sometimes you got to put a bully in their place. Now, mind you, we probably telling the kids wrong. Don't fight.
Probably.
Don't hit bullying. But one of them, the girls that was getting bullied, my nickname for her was Icebox. Okay? And if you know anything about the movie The Little Giants.
I remember the movie.
You know why I call her Icebox. Icebox was getting bullied. To this day, I don't understand. I look at Icebox. It's like, Icebox, you done destroyed my whole mystique about you. Really. I understand why the parent did what they did. But you got to go to the parents sometimes. You got to go knock on the door.
Right.
Go to the school.
Right.
But, man, when it's your kid, a lot of things you forget. You can't think clearly. You just want to go and jab the kid yourself. Bow, bow!
Yeah, you can't do it. The last story we'll do in What the Hell Today is about Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh.
Is he still in the country?
Rush
Unfortunately.
Limbaugh says that President Obama is not authentically black because he doesn't have slave blood. He doesn't have slave blood. He went on a tirade. And the next statement is a direct quote from what Rush Limbaugh said. It was transcribed. Direct quote. He was referring to the First Lady's speech at the Democratic National Convention, and he says, quote, "Don't give me this down with the struggle business." He wasn't down with the struggle. That's the whole point. You go back to 2008, and the Democrats were wringing their hands because he wasn't authentically black. That's the reason the Reverend Sharpton had a problem with him, and they wrote that column in the LA Times about the Magic Negro. He wasn't down with the struggle. He doesn't have slave blood. Now, I'm gonna go last on this one. Big Rube, you go first.
Why does this guy still on the radio? But you know,
He makes more money. He makes more money than anybody makes on the radio.
well, yeah.
So, so somebody likes to listen to him.
I mean, you know, I'm not gonna get into all that deep stuff because that's a completely different story. However, I will say this: Rush Limbaugh has a strong ability of getting his voice out there. Now, I read the article. I really wasn't incensed. I kind of laughed at it. My coworkers who are Caucasian, you know, was pretty much like, one of them was pretty much like, "What are you talking about? He's probably got just as much as I do." And you know, it is what it is on that comment. But you know, it's crazy because you know he didn't have to say slave blood. He didn't have to say any of that, but he said that to get he said that to get a reaction. And you know, when it's all said and done, Rush Limbaugh is about reactions. I think the best thing that could happen for this country and for Rush Limbaugh is for Obama to be reelected, because then he's got 4 more years to sit there and come up with crap to talk about. To me, a lot of it's laughable, but you know, is he a racist? No, he just wants to get other people's skin.
All I got to say is this about Rush. Why is he still in the country? I thought he was supposed to be out the country.
He's supposed to be
given the
gone.
terms that, you know, he dictated himself.
That's what he said.
So, Rush, if you can hear the sound, hear the words that are coming out of my mouth, I'm going to need you to go ahead and lead the country. All right? Whether you want to check it or not, you got some slave blood in you. You just don't want to admit it. Let's go back and check your roots. Let me see your DNA. Let me see your tax returns. Let me see everything about you. Can't stand you, man. For real. It's not even a race issue with me and how I see you. It's just your arrogance that I have a problem with. You have the right to say what you want to say, but things that have come out of your mouth, dude, I'm surprised you ain't had somebody just bust you in the mouth.
We may have an issue with the way he said what he said, but what he said is a debate that I've had with a trusted confidant who is black. And this particular person has said something similar, has been saying something similar basically from the first time we've been seeing President Obama. Now, this person didn't go so far as to say slave blood, you know, and she didn't use inflammatory type of terms, you know, but her position on it is the fact that he wasn't someone who was raised in an African American / black Negro type of background. He didn't have that black grandma. He wasn't raised by Big Mama. His mother was white. He was raised, born in Hawaii and raised in Indonesia and all those kinds of things. And it wasn't until he, got to college and he met Michelle Obama and worked in Chicago and all those types of things where his experience became a little bit more. But he wasn't raised black. Now, that's a little bit different than using the phrase slave blood. The connotation is the same to me. So while I disagree with that person, I certainly understand the spirit of what Rush is saying, because this is a black person that was saying this to me. So there's definitely some of us who have some issues with our president Now me, I with respect to that person, I thought it was kind of crazy, to take that position, and I think it's crazy for us to take that position because I've always been of the mindset that Barack Obama might be more black than any of us because he's 50% from the motherland, 50% from the motherland. So, the whole thing with Rush, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting into with him. Every once in a while, he'll say something so outlandishly, racistly inappropriate that it does lead to some sort of discussion because that he's the most popular talk show host in the nation.
No, I'm gonna say he's one of them.
We can debate that. My opinion is he's the most popular, and the reason he is because there are a lot of people in this country that agree with the things that he say, and there's a lot of those people who we see every single day that might smile and think that treat you like everything is great, but at the same time they saying some stuff about you when you ain't around, and it's a trip. Like I remember there was a scene in the Eddie Murphy movie. He said, do you think that they call you the N-word when you ain't around? He said, I don't know, but I ain't around, so I guess I don't know. So we'll leave it there. Rube's giving me the face. Matter of fact, go ahead and get the final comment, Rube, because you got the face on like you got something to say, and then we're going to wrap up the show.
I guess my comment is that he is right that Michelle Obama said how they struggled and how their their school loans was more than a combined house note. I mean, my thing is, I don't remember the president ever saying that he struggled and all this other stuff. And furthermore, I mean, not to be a generalist, but all black people don't struggle. So, I mean, to me, it's almost funny that we have kind of taken this and spend it a little bit. Oh, because he struggled as a black person, blah, blah. Wait a minute. All black people don't struggle. All of us didn't struggle. For real. So, I mean, I think we need to start thinking about the other side of it before we start going inflaming on him, because ultimately he wants to get a rise out of you. And to be perfectly honest with you, he didn't get a rise out of me. I'm more laughed at than anything else. Because, Obama never said he struggled. Well, he never said he struggled. Michelle said they struggled, but he never said he struggled. So, I didn't struggle.
Ain't no hashtag at Marcus J. We're going to leave it there. We're going to take our final break of the night and come back with the rants and the closing. Ain't no hashtag at Marcus J. Be back in a minute.